So Fanita,
Yeah.
for us this is the last session we will have together. For everyone who would see it, it is already the beginning.
Oh.
So in some way we are now lucky we did a job, and or others maybe
Yeah.
will start a job.
Yeah.
What I really would like to thank you is that you agreed upon to make this kind of video sessions, because for me it was interesting to do it in just to highlight what we have done in your life, and just to bring in the essential stuff what is on your website fanitaenglish.com, which we are run to everyone who is interested in what's going on, or what you did in your career, in your life, in your professional lives. Yeah.
Well, first of all, Joachim, I want to thank you. I'm very, very touched about your having devoted 10 days of your work time, where you have this large organization, simply to have come. It was your idea, your suggestion, and I'm very grateful. The other person who's grateful, I think, is my daughter, but that's a different story.
She is. She told me.
Because it's really my legacy, and I'm now 95 and a half, and I really experience this as being sort of my last statement, my last workshop, my last interview, whatever you want to call it. I'm very, very grateful to you for having devoted the time and energy, and for doing this, because all my stuff was in a big mess. I have nothing else to say right now.
Thank you. Yeah, maybe we give some introduction what we have done, because the interview are following a certain idea, and the plan was that you introduced to TA in the way you see it. So meaning TA according to Fanita.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you're saying is my legacy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm a little bit surprised to be thinking about this as my legacy, but here I am. I got into TA.
Maybe next. Maybe
Okay.
something we will add during
It's-
the next
yeah.
years. We don't know, but
Yeah.
it's one of the point. I think you are always looking very realistically on your own life, and to
My age and everything.
yeah.
Okay, well, look, I'm very, very happy that I got into TA. And TA was transformative for me. And then the next thing that was transformative was the fact that I got into doing workshops. And by the way, I had the opportunity to do workshops for your organization, and I appreciated all the invitations of the trips to Italy and so on. It was in Germany and in Italy. I'm proud of the fact that I brought TA to Germany. It was almost by coincidence. It happened in the early 70s. And then what developed was that I started doing workshops all over Europe, primarily Germany, France, Italy, Switzerland, Austria, and a few other countries here and there. I saw myself primarily as a TA therapist, but Bern died too soon. He died at age 60, and a great deal of TA was unformed. By now, there are people who claim to have developed this school and that school. Some people claim that I've developed a school. I have not. I just kept adding little bits to TA and transforming. And perhaps I should say I did get the Eric Berne Prize for 2 of my contributions, which I do consider important. The rackets, the material on the rackets. Racketeering is a word that I coined about the use of rackets for getting strokes, inappropriate strokes, useless strokes, and for rackets instead of getting strokes for real development and achievement. So I got the prize for the rackets idea. Originally I wrote the whole rackets article in order to show it to Berne, and he died just before I had the opportunity of showing it, and they needed material for the TA journal, and the rest is history. The other thing I got, the other concept I got the Eric Berne Prize for is the concept of episcripts, hot potatoes really, the transfer of hot potatoes by one powerful type 2 individual really to a powerless individual who then takes on the episcript. And that was my first contribution, although in terms of order of development, I got that later. I got the Byrne Prize for later.
Yeah.
And
we talk more explicit within the next sessions, or
we talk
with the former sessions and next within the video. What are in this kind of concepts?
And of course, by bringing in the concept of episcript, I revolutionized the concept of script, because I showed that script is not a negative thing, that we all carry scripts, that we need scripts, and we talked a lot about that, but it's a very strong topic for me. I hated the fact that people would talk about scripts as something pathological, and I believe that I've been able to transform the general approach to scripts, and I consider that a useful contribution. One other aspect of legacy, and by now many other people are doing it too, is that I expanded the use of TA from being for therapists only or for therapeutic purposes only. And although we always had the division of TA as being in 4 different ways for organizations, still the fact that I did workshops for combined groups. Sometimes my business workshops ended up being therapy workshops, and my therapy workshops ended up being professional workshops. I consider that a little bit of a legacy too, that for instance a large organization like yours is using TA. And I'm proud of the fact, I'm pleased rather than proud, pleased that TA is being used in all kinds of other contexts than only therapy.
And I think that maybe is one of the parts why we are really appreciate what you done, what we are fascinated of your kind of work. For us, you keep the TA open to a broader, comprehensive understanding. What does it mean in a personal life and in a business life, and not to go too far or too deep in. This is a concept, and there's a drawing you can make, and so to get a little bit more, or to protect it, to get it too close to such kind of, let's say, comic psychology. And the other way, you brought in new concepts, but not in a too sophisticated scientific thinking, but in a thinking how you can bring it in direct communication with humans or in workshop concept. Meaning, you are not. I'm very, very happy that you are not joined kind of brain scientist lab, but stayed in the work with humans and bring in every time new ideas, and some from Freudian, some from just like Damasius or others from the brain scientist. So in some way, for me, you were a never-ending thinker about what could be integrated and what could make TA and the concept of TA more suitable for what's really going on in life, and not only to be too deep in one concept and to pray it or to communicate it only every time the same. So every time when we met, in some way you integrated some new stuff, which you caught up when you read, and you read a lot. And therefore I think you keep it open and you keep it pragmatic and handy for
I find that the new brain science actually validated a lot of what I was teaching. For instance, Damasius' idea about emotions being then used in the cortex and starting off in the lower part of the brain certainly fits in with my Rackett's concept, very much so. The new ideas about the genes being transformed, I mean, there's a lot of modern, I wish. There are times where I wish that I could be alive 40 years from now, because I know that brain science, the modern brain science, will validate a lot of what I've been teaching. We do know, however, that when it comes to theory, it's really the personal contact between the therapist and the client, and theory doesn't matter so much. But theory does matter in regard to how the therapist or the consultant has been transformed himself or herself. And I have been transformed a lot by the very workshops that I have been teaching, and that has been wonderful.
Yeah, so that maybe would be the next question. What will remain from the other part, besides the conceptual part, meaning the workshop part? What do you think, or what you would like to remain in the mind, in the memory of the participants of your workshops? Do you have any idea?
Well, you know, I really hope that it's almost what we were talking about in another context, this fifth position. The sense that we all have our failings and we can all be wonderful.
And what should remain as an impression from you personally, from you as a person?
Pretty much that. I have enjoyed meeting so many different people in different contexts, and I have appreciated the transformative value of somebody's just wanting to consider that they have some failings that can be remedied. That's all. I have really enjoyed my work, and that's been important.
Yes, and I think that's one of the most important things. Yeah. I think you enjoyed it. For me, I attended some of your workshops and I organized some. I perceived you always to try to stay in the fifth position, and I perceived you were really, really interested in the humans who are working with and you are in contact with.
And thank you again for having given me all these opportunities. Also the workshops you organized for me. One wonderful memory that will remain are the workshops in Italy.
Yeah, okay. And thank you. So maybe there's one more thought I had when I prepared this session. You often talk about Byrne and about the Freudian and how Byrne was a little kind of antagonist of Freud, and or at least thought, okay, he should position himself differently. I got a little bit worked on the reconciliation of Byrne and Freud in the end.
Yeah, you know, you're reminding me of the fact that really the part of my work that has not been completed, the book that I haven't written, is about the three drives or motivators, and I took that from Freud, and I described it a little bit, and it's a very arrogant kind of stance to take, that I have taken Freud's ideas of drives and modified them, and I am convinced, I talked elsewhere about the three motivators or drives, the really drives, that's Freud's word, but survival, passion, and transience. And I do hope that other people are going to expand on these concepts. I do know that whenever I am in the passionate frame of mind, or operating, using my energy in the passionate direction, which happened all the time in the course of my workshops, my physical ailments no longer affect me. And so the psychosomatic value of our work is very important. And will be continued, I'm sure.
And would you agree upon that this kind of concept is a kind of reconciliation between Byrne's and Freud's concept, or whatever it is, even if they both would never met each other and maybe would act differently, just in your mind?
Saying yes would be very arrogant. And okay, I'll say yes anyway.
Okay, let's say yes in the first position, meaning accepting that that is a bit arrogant, but I think it is.
Okay.